In this video we take a walk from the popular town of Whitehead along the Blackhead Path to the lighthouse at Blackhead and back again, and learn some of the history along the way. The Blackhead Path closed in August 2018 until repairs could be undertaken due to serious safety concerns caused by subsidence. The path had moved 30 centimetres in that year, and more significantly 17 centimetres in 1 month. Large cracks along the path wall appeared, indicating likely structural failure of the concrete wall and possible collapse. Work to repair the path started in June 2019 and would take an estimated 1 year to complete. The promenade was reconcreted, new sea defences built with rock, and stabilisation of the cliff faces was undertaken. New steps and handrails were also installed. After the extensive work was completed, the path reopened on the 8th of July 2020. The two large boulders you can see here are known locally as the wren's eggs. They were deposited here when the ice sheets melted at the end of the last ice age, about 10,000 years ago. This is Port Davey Bay, and you can see the remnants of houses where people used to live. The Blackhead Path was the brainchild of Berkeley Wise, who was an Irish civil engineer that made a significant impact on the development of railways and tourism, particularly in Northern Ireland. The pinnacle of Wise's career was his 18 years as chief engineer to the Belfast and Northern Counties Railway, or BNCR for short. Wise pioneered the use of reinforced concrete for railway structures, such as the King's Bridge in Whitehead, and also designed many of the stations of the BNCR. His first station was Larne Harbour Station, but his most famous is Portrush Station, which still stands today. As well as his normal work on the railway and its stations, Wise designed tea rooms, promenades, bandstands, footpaths and golf courses across the network. Glenariff was one such place, and Wise constructed paths and walkways so that tourists could see the spectacular waterfalls. In places, Wise cantilevered the path from the sheer rock faces and built shelters at strategic points. He also constructed a tea room at the bottom of the glen, which still survives today as a restaurant. Wise also constructed a promenade in Whitehead using railway sleepers, and made a beach by importing sand by train from Portrush. In 1892, Wise engineered a path that stretched for 1¼ miles from Whitehead to the lighthouse at Blackhead. The lower sections of the path bordered the shore, but blasting and cantilevering from the cliffs was necessary towards Blackhead. One of the two houses here stands on the former site of the Sunshine House, which Berkeley Wise built as a refreshment room beside the Blackhead Path. But what he is most remembered for is the Gobbins Cliff Path in Isle of Magee, which was as popular as the Giant's Causeway. On our visit to the Blackhead Path, the contractors were still finishing the last of the jobs, as can be seen. One of the caves at the Blackhead Cliffs is known as the Smuggler's Cave. It may have been used by smugglers in days gone by, but it was certainly used for many years by a man called Thomas Macartney. Macartney came to the district about 1804 and set himself up as a schoolmaster. At this time there were no schoolhouses in outlying districts like Island Magee, as the national school system had not yet started. The children in these areas were taught by learned men, who were known as hedge teachers, of which Macartney was one. Eventually, Macartney established his school at Fairview, Castletown. It was at this time that he made his home in the Smuggler's Cave. High up on the right-hand side of the cave, just inside the entrance, is a cavity in the rock face. It was here that Macartney lived, and it is now known as the schoolmaster's bedchamber. People often throw coins onto a small ledge on the right-hand side of the cave. If they land on the ledge, then you can make a wish. These steep steps climb up to the Blackhead Lighthouse and give good views to the Gobbins and the Copeland Islands and also the surrounding area. Blackhead Lighthouse was built in 1899 and its first light was exhibited in 1902. The lighthouse had an explosive fog signal when it first began operating, and it would have guided many famous vessels during Belfast's golden age of shipping, including the ill-fated Titanic. The lighthouse was converted to electric operation in 1965, and lightkeepers lived at the station until 1975. Today, the 3 restored lightkeepers' cottages beside the lighthouse are self-catering accommodation managed by the Irish Landmark Trust. From the lighthouse, the path continues along the top of the cliff before you descend via some very steep steps. The path hugs the cliff face here and meanders back towards the lower path. On the way back, we walked a section of the path that we hadn't walked before ending up back at the car park where we began.